This is interesting. This is kind of mysterious, if you like, something covered in a cloth. One of the reasons why I call this show Enigma, not the main reason, I will get to that later on, but one of the reasons is that I love the idea of mysteries, of enigmas, and even though I'm skeptical about mediums and the afterlife and so on, I love the mystery of it. Now, I want to try something with one of you, a lady who has lost a grandparent that she was close to when she was young. So if you don't mind putting your hand up, if you have lost a grandparent, you don't mind coming up on stage, thank you. Keep your hands up for me. I'm going to throw a frisbee up there. Can we get it to one of the ladies whose hands are up? Catch. Okay, keep your hands up till one of you ends up with it. Do we have a lady there? Thank you. Would you stand up for me, madam? Can I ask your name?
Emma.
Emma, lovely to meet you. And is it your grandmother or grandfather you were thinking of?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother. And what was her name?
Doris.
Doris?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat for me, Emma. I may ask you up on stage in just a moment. Thank you. Have a seat for me for the moment. So I'm going to tell you a true story that happened 2.5 years after my grandfather died. And we were very close. As you were close to Doris, I was very close to my grandfather. He was a big fan of magic. Didn't perform, but he was very good at firing my imagination as a kid and playing tricks on me. And he used to have, in the guest room of his house, he had a box that was up on a shelf, very beautiful box, dark wood with brass trimmings and a big padlock on the front. And I would always ask him what he kept inside this box. And whenever I'd ask him, he would always do this thing where he'd change. He'd go from being this lovely, warm, very open man to suddenly he'd become very cold, very serious. His face would change, and he would look at me, and he would say, "Derren, you never, ever look inside that box." Which, of course, made it so much worse. And when I was growing up, more than anything, I just wanted to know what my grandfather kept inside that box. Actually, Emma, I think we'll ask you to come down if that's right. Round of applause for Emma. Thank you, Emma. Thank you. That's it. We have Emma, ladies and gentlemen. Have you come, Emma? Have you have a seat for me? Come and have a seat. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for coming up. So Emma, look, if you don't mind me asking you, what was Doris like? How do you remember her as a woman? What was she like?
She was very feisty, great fun, bossy. I adored her.
She sounds absolutely brilliant. She sounds like a proper grandma. She
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Is your grandfather still around? Or
No.
Did you have to do the thing when they were both gone of going to their empty house and maybe with your own family to take any belongings and bits and pieces you wanted to keep?
Yes.
Yeah. Some of you may have had to do this. It's a horrible thing to have to do. The only thing I wanted was the box. And Emma, this is it. This is my grandfather's box. It was up on a shelf, and I reached up and I pulled this box towards me. And as I pulled this towards me, behind it, on the shelf, there was a little key. And I didn't know if it was the key for the box, and I didn't want anyone else seeing it. I didn't want to have to open it up and show everybody what was in there. So I sort of pocketed the key, and I took the box and I took them home. And I was staying with my parents. I went up to my old bedroom. This is where I grew up. And I sat down at my writing desk, and I opened the box. Emma, if you don't mind, I would love you to open the box. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I paused at this point. I thought, do I really want to open it? It could be a family secret. It could be evidence of some weird habit that he had that I didn't want to find out about. But, of course, the curiosity got the better of me. And finally, after all those years, 15, 20 years, I found out what he kept inside. What's in there?
A box.
Another box. Could you take it out? There was a second box inside the first box, which I didn't expect. But what really shocked me, Emma, was then what was inside the second one. Now, how would you describe that?
Well, it's a vase with a ball of wool in it.
That is pretty much what it is. Now, please be very careful because it's rather old, but if you can reach in maybe both hands and bring it out and face the front with it and show them. It's actually a big brandy balloon with a ball of wool inside it. That's what he kept in the box. So I was a bit disappointed. But then, looking at this object, which had been such a source of mystery to me for so long, it suddenly hit me. That there I was 23, and I'd started a career in magic. I was going to have a TV show out in a few years. And I looked at this and I realized for the first time that I'd got my love of passing on mysteries from him, from my grandfather, from Papa, as I used to call him. And I looked at this and I thought, regardless of what your religious or your spiritual beliefs are, that this is the real afterlife. This is the way that we live on, bizarrely. We create a memory, but a living memory, Emma. A living memory that then connects us with people we've never even met. Because if it wasn't for my grandfather, if it wasn't for Papa, I wouldn't be here doing this and you wouldn't be sat there watching. And he wouldn't be stood there thinking of Doris at the moment. We create a living memory that connects us with people we've never even met. Could you bring that forward for me? And can I ask, perhaps the lady there, could you come forward and just take the end of the wool? Thank you. You might need a little pull. And then just take that back to your seat. And if you come and sit back down behind you as well. Now, madam, sit down for me. I want you to keep hold of that and keep pulling it, but also pass it back. So you connect with the person behind you, and as they pass back, they also connect with the person behind them. Everybody keep hold of the wool and keep passing it back and pulling. Thank you. And inside all of that wool, there was
A box.
another box. Could you take it out? Now, I'd like you to keep hold of that box, and I'd like you to keep it closed. But if you can just take the bands off and put them on the table, Emma. I'm going to tell you what was inside that box. Inside the little red box, which had, I presume, been wrapped up for at least 15, 20 years, in all of that wool, in the elastic bands, in the brandy glass, in the little box, and locked into that big box. In there was a coin. It was like a medallion. It was oversized. It was solid silver. And on that coin, my grandfather had engraved 7 words. And the 7 words that Papa had engraved on that coin were, Derren, I told you not to look. He had engraved that on the coin. It is the most precious thing that I own. I don't bring it out the house. I haven't brought it with me on tour because I don't want to risk losing it. So I put another coin in there for now, Emma, and it's for you. And there are 5 words engraved on your coin. So maybe if you open it up and read them to yourself a couple of times, just so you're absolutely clear.
Don't.
Would you mind reading that out?
It says, in living memory of Doris.
May I show the camera? In living memory. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Emma, ladies and gentlemen.